It is time to get the facts on this. We saw President Trump's response to this on Truth Social, calling that video seditious. He then followed it up with another post by saying it is punishable by death. Let's get into this now. Lou Jacobson from PolitiFact joining us live. So Lou, sedition broadly refers to anti-government conduct. Does what Goodlander, what Kelly said in this video qualify as sedition?
So there are really two kinds, libel and conspiracy. For seditious libel, courts began ruling against such laws in the late 1950s. And that made clear in the courts that even speech that supports law breaking in the abstract is covered by the First Amendment. And in this case, the lawmakers said they were urging the law to be upheld and not broken. As for the other type, seditious conspiracy, it's a crime for two or more people to conspire to overthrow, put down, or destroy by force or levy war against the U.S. government. Here, too, according to legal experts, the problem for a prosecution would be that the law repeatedly uses the term by force, and nothing that the lawmakers said was talking about using force.
And Lou, just briefly on this point, did any of the experts you talked to get into whether the speech and debate clause would have any impact on this, considering they're all members of Congress?
My sense would be that that really covers speech on the floor. I'm not sure it will be covered in a case like this where it was not directly, part of their congressional duties.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, and then we have the president's response here. He said seditious actions being subject to the basically punishable by death. What about President Trump's response and that particular punishment?
So that's actually pretty straightforward. The law of seditious conspiracy says someone convicted can be fined or they can be imprisoned for up to 20 years. It doesn't say anything about the death penalty.
Interesting. And then what about whether the Democratic lawmakers were in the video, what they were saying and whether it was accurate? Because they were referring to specifically unlawful orders.
Yeah, this is sort of nuanced. We found that the lawmakers did have a good point about the ability of service members to challenge what they see as unlawful acts. Several longstanding military documents make it clear that service members can, and in some cases need to, challenge a direct order that they think is contrary to the law. And if they do carry that out, they could be liable for criminal charges themselves. On the other hand, people who specialize in military law told us that deciding what is lawful can be challenging. The standards that kind of lay out what's a legal order and what's not a legal order are pretty vague. And some experts were telling us that they urge caution if you're a service member. They say that that sort of determining whether a certain order is contrary to the law, that if a judge later disagrees with your judgment on that, you could be court-martialed if you refuse to carry it out. So it's a very high-stakes decision to make and one that's not always clear.
Yeah, that's why we heard a lot of Republicans saying this may just sow discord within the ranks and questioning the purpose itself of the video. But really great explanation. Lou, thanks for joining us here today.
Great, thank you.